I'm going to walk you through the entire process of embroidering a design. The USB stick is put in. We're going to select the Designs folder, touch OK. The design we're going to embroider is Design 17 from the sampler book that you got with your machine. So the T25, that's the Topaz 25, and I'm looking for Design 17, so it's in the folder 15 through 19. Those are design numbers. So I'm going to arrow down, touch OK, and then arrow down to Design 17. When I touch OK, it's going to go ahead and bring up the design. The first thing I look at is that it is calling for a hoop that I do not own, a 150 by 150. That's about a 6 by 6 hoop. This design would fit in, but that's not one I own. So if I don't change the hoop size to the size of hoop I am using, I'm going to just use the 240 by 150, the size that came with the machine. It's going to tell me to attach correct hoop. So first thing, go down to hoop and hoop options, hoop size 150 by 150. See that arrow to the right? Touch that one time. And now go ahead and put a X or touch OK for the hoop you're using, the 240 by 150. Great. So this design has two colors. Total stitch count is 3,800 stitches. Here's an approximate size. And if I touch Alt, I can see that it's going to fill up the majority of my hoop. And I still have the option to move that around to where I want it to stitch here. So I'm going to go ahead and move the camera over so you can see where I'm doing. And then we're going to go ahead and get started. So first thing I want to do is I actually want to embroider in the middle of my hoop where I've marked it, not necessarily just in the middle of the hoop. So I'm going to go ahead, notice the needle's kind of off to the side. That's where the first stitch is going to start. That is not the center of the design. So let's go over here to Alt, okay? And you can see that we've got the design is the small square and the hoop is the large square. So we can go up and down, except I know that that is not the center of the design. How do you find the center of the design? You're going to come over here to this little function that is like the corner to corner check. It's got 4 little arrows and I want to touch it one time. When I touch it one time, it moves the needle to the top left corner. Push it again. This is actually tracing the outside design and I can see about how big it's going to be. But after I go around all 4 corners, touch it again. Now that moves the needle to the center of the design. If you don't do that, the needle was originally like over here where it was going to start. Now the needle is in the center where we would then use it to put it over the mark on our fabric. So now I'll use the little arrows, and as I hold it down, it kind of moves a little faster. And I just need to kind of get it over, and when I think I'm there, I can just bring that needle down, and if I've pierced my little mark, I know I'm at that point. So we are now ready. Once again, if you want to just go around, see where that actual area is. Okay, all the way back to the center, and if I push it again, that moves to the starting point. Notice the little plus disappears. That's where it's going to start. So see how it's over to the side? Not worrying about it because I know that was I used the center to find where to line it up on my fabric. We can go ahead and touch Alt. Let's go ahead and how about for fun, we can kind of take a look. If I touch my eye for information, the first color is red or ruby glint, and the second one is scholastic. Okay, so I'm thinking the first part, I'm going to peek in my book just to double check. We're on Design 17. It is going to stitch out the pink first, which is all the petals, and then the second part is the center of that flower. So let's go ahead, and so that's why the information button for me is not really always helpful, because I didn't know what scholastic was. I would assume yellow, but I didn't want to just guess. All right, we're threading in the machine. We have our R foot on and an embroidery needle in. You'll love the needle threader for every time you need to change your color. Next, we're going to hold on to this thread. We're going to push the start stop button. It's going to check the hoop, count to 3. 1, 2, 3. See how that just pulls right on out of there? So you have to kind of get used to when to pull for that thread. Kind of a 1, 2, 3, and then it cuts, and then you kind of pull up from there. So what we're looking for is that we don't have any bobbin thread showing, and we'll show you what good tension is going to look like. And as you can see on the screen, we've kind of got the stitches here are counting down, and we have, and this one here is counting up. for as we go all the way around for the petals of the flower. When a color is done, the thread is cut, and we can just go ahead and pull the thread out. Yes, I do not mind you kind of pulling the thread straight on through. You've heard me talk about in the sewing videos to not pull the thread, but with the embroidery thread and embroidery process, this is not a linty area, so I always just pull the thread. You don't have to cut it and pull it through the needle. All right, so we're on to color 2. You can just go ahead, use your needle threader, go ahead and do the start and count to 3. 1, 2, 3, pull the thread out, and you're ready to continue stitching. I just love how pretty this is. Even I get caught up just in watching how it stitches, because it just is amazing what your embroidery machine is capable of doing. And with so many designs out there, you can get your hands on anything you want these days. Now, if you want to do more with sizing or personalization, look into getting the Husqvarna Viking embroidery software that's current with your local dealer. Then you will have so many more options. That pretty much turns this into a printer of thread. So you design everything on the software. You can put design, you can put lettering, you can put different fonts, type it all out, and then you save it all as one unit. Put it on the USB stick, put it in the machine, it comes on up, and then you just start working your way through color by color. When a design is done, you'll get an embroidery finished message on your screen, and you'll need to touch OK to get back into the design or pick another design. The thread has already been cut after the last stitch, so push down onto the release button here, pull your hoop towards you, and if you need help with that, lift up the presser foot and it'll slide right on out. Your bobbin thread is also cut at the end of an embroidery design. Let's take a look. Isn't that gorgeous? Again, the designs that are in your sampler collection, your built-in designs, look so much prettier stitched out than just pictured on the paper. Now, here's the lines. All I'm going to do is quick touch that to an iron, and these lines are going to disappear. So let's look at the back. The tension, what we want to see is that we see a little bit of each of the colors pulled to the back side, so we don't have any white thread showing on the top. So if I had any white thread showing, what we would need to do is come over to our set menu and come up to thread tension and loosen that. Most of the time with embroidery, the only thing we do is bring it to a smaller number. So if it's 2.8, I'm going to come down a whole number. I'm going to come down to at least 2, but even 1.8. And then that way here, the bobbin thread would get tighter, the top thread gets looser, and more of the thread would pull to the back side. But all in all, that looks absolutely perfect. This is tear away, so once I take it out of the hoop, I can just tear it away from the design, and we are ready to use it in whatever we had planned for.